You pray more than most people you know, you carry burdens that would crush the average believer, and yet here you are, battling a darkness that seems to contradict everything you stand for, and if you've ever wondered why the enemy targets prayer warriors with depression, it's because your prayers are dismantling kingdoms in the unseen realm that most Christians don't even know exist. The first reason depression hits prayer warriors so hard is spiritual exhaustion that goes unrecognized. When you're constantly standing in the gap for others, interceding for marriages, fighting for prodigal children, and binding principalities over your city, you're engaging in warfare that drains you at a level far deeper than physical tiredness. And the Bible never promised that spiritual battle would leave you feeling energized and whole. In fact, Elijah, one of the greatest prophets who called down fire from heaven and outran chariots, found himself under a tree begging God to take his life immediately after his greatest victory, and that's because the intensity of spiritual engagement creates a vulnerability that the enemy ruthlessly exploits the moment you step off the battlefield. The second reason is isolation that comes with seeing too much. When God opens your spiritual eyes to discern the schemes of darkness, to recognize demonic assignments, and to perceive the spiritual condition of people around you, you begin to operate on a frequency that most believers simply cannot access, and this gift becomes a burden when you realize you can't share what you see without being labeled as extreme, judgmental, or mentally unstable, so you carry secrets about spiritual realities that would shock your church into either revival or rejection, and that isolation breeds a depression rooted not in unbelief but in the loneliness of being misunderstood by the very people you're fighting for. Third, there's the weight of unanswered prayers that accumulates over time. You've prayed for healing that didn't come, for breakthroughs that remain blocked, for loved ones who chose darkness despite your tears and fasting, and while your theology tells you that God is sovereign and his ways are higher, your heart wrestles with the gap between what you've asked for and what you've received, and this isn't doubt. It's the honest grief of a warrior who has seen some battles won and others mysteriously lost, and David understood this when he wrote in Psalm 42 about his soul being downcast and disturbed within him even as he encouraged himself in the Lord. The fourth reason is demonic retaliation that specifically targets your mind and emotions. The enemy knows he cannot stop your prayers, so he attacks the vessel from which those prayers flow, planting thoughts of worthlessness, whispering that your prayers don't matter, magnifying every personal failure until you feel disqualified from the very calling that terrifies hell.